Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this new King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard album, Infest the Rat's Nest. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard are Aussie psychedelic rock titans. Now, I said this a few months before on their Fishing for Fishies review. I'm going to catch a lot of heat for this, and I don't really care at this point. Still not a fan of their early days. Albums like 12 Bar Brews and Quarters and Float Along, Fill Your Lungs are interesting albums in their own right, but for me, I feel like they just have so much more to offer. No, for me, it really started around 2014's I'm in Your Mind Fuzz. This was a hyper-speed, psychedelic rock blast that just did not let up until it was done, and not to mention, it was insanely catchy. And from there on out, it's been nothing short of a wild ride for King Gizzard. There was the stripped-down psychedelic folk of paper-mache Dream Balloon, and the literally non-ending Nonagon Infinity. And then, of course, in 2017, there was this amazing run of 5 albums in 1 year. Kudos to that. There was their experiment with microtonal tuning on Flying Microtonal Banana, the freakish and actually genuinely hilarious Murder of the Universe, as well as their sort of subpar Sketches of Brunswick East album. Then there was the very progressive Polygon Dwanaland, and they ended off the year with actually my personal favorite, Gumboot Soup. So obviously, it's hard to keep up with King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard these days. You really never know what they're going to touch down on, what they're going to be singing about, what they're going to be sounding like. Hell, they've even been busy this year with Fishing for Fishies, which was this environmentally conscious and seriously bizarre blend of robot funk, and it was really enjoyable as well. But my god, they are back with a new sound, something that I hope that they would dive into ever since Gumboot Soup, and that is metal, more specifically thrash metal. Let's talk about it. This album starts off with Planet B, one of the lead singles from this album, and my personal favorite, this track freaking rips. This album starts off in a gigantic way with this track. I feel like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard never waste a second. They're always trying to be one step ahead of themselves, especially when they're tackling more heavy genres like this. It's explosive, and it very quickly brings in this new metal sound that they've been working with. This is the most off the rails that they've been sounding since maybe even Nonagon Infinity. And to be honest, they pull this sound off almost a little too well at times. Stu McKenzie's vocals here, they come off so grisly, so believable, you'd think that he was doing this for years. Not to mention the thundering riffs and the pounding drums sound just as true to form to thrash metal. Not to mention, right off the bat, the ever-present sense of humor and this thought that King Gizzard never take themselves too seriously at times is shining in a big way. Like, Planet B is out of control, but it's a complete blast, which is what I could say for so much of this album, and I'm so happy with it. Now, while not as catchy as Planet B, Organ Farmer might be the most true-to-form thrash metal track here. We get some of Stu's absolutely roughest, grisliest vocals here, and the solos just seem to be never-ending. Here, we really do get the best of both worlds. Like, clearly, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard are having some fun with this and writing some of their most over-the-top material to date, but at the same time, they're presenting it in a way that it comes off very believable. We have Venusian 1, which is just so exciting right off the bat, and once it takes off, there is absolutely no stopping this track. And believe it or not, probably what I love most about this album is lyrically, and as far as the content within this album goes, the story behind it, they end up making it come off pretty coherent, which is especially weird with just how chaotic and wild this album is. I love every detail here, from the solos that I swear get better with every album to Stu's vocal inflections here, which are great. This is the sort of bloody, off-the-rails journey that I've wanted King Gizzard to hit me with for years. Plus, that final group chant on this track just works so well as the callback to the earlier Planet B. Venusian 1 is pretty damn good as well. It has this very intense, almost machine gun sounding riff. And Stu's vocals here, these might be some of my favorite of the bunch. They just seem to soar over everything. In a weird way, I'm almost getting some Iron Maiden influence on this one. And I feel like I should have probably mentioned this earlier, but King Gizzard, not only are they writing these intense, grisly, thrash metal bangers, but they're bringing in enough melody and writing just catchy enough tunes for these really to stick with you. Now, I do have a couple of very small complaints to make about this album, even though I'm loving the hell out of this. First off, It is a little short for my liking. Like, I would have loved to hear maybe 3 or 4 more tracks on here. Make this a 50-minute album. This has been a problem for me with King Gizzard in the past. They change up their sound so much and so frequently. Like, when I hear them getting into a sound, not only do they often nail it, but I want to hear more of it. The only track that I do truly not like here is Superbug. It's not actually the worst track. I feel like a lot of people would like this more than me, honestly. But I feel like so far, in all these great tracks here, this is all coming off just so easy to King Gizzard. I do like the sort of bluesy, gruff riff that we get here. But this track just goes on for so damn long. I mean, at 7 minutes, this is by far the longest track here. And for me, I just don't feel like it pays off nearly as much as some of the shorter tracks here. And I do, for the most part, like Self-Immolate, but it's easily the weakest of the singles. This one practically brings in some death metal and doom metal influences at times. Like, by this point in the album, we've gotten so far over the top, there is no possible way of coming back, let's be real. But I do have to say, while I'm not that into Self-Immolate as a whole, or as into it as other tracks, this is a real showcase for the instrumentals here. Especially the drum work. Like, it's actually kind of mind-boggling here. Yeah, for me though, like Self-Immolate, I just feel like it's missing that slight, catchy edge that almost every other track here brings in. But outside of that, this album freaking rips, and I'm so happy to be listening to it. Not to mention, King Gizzard actually pull out a really couple of great late album and early album curveballs, showing them dive into other metal genres. We have their stoner metal track, Mars for the Rich. In every way, this track is giving me all the Black Sabbath vibes. The big, heavy, bluesy riff here is just something that is so gold, I want to hear more of that. But almost all of this material never comes off dated in a weird way. As a matter of fact, it comes off very modern sounding, even though it's very campy. And these lyrics continue to be absolutely batshit insane. Like, if you dive in, there's some genuinely hilarious stuff here. But, like, if you've listened to albums like Murder of the Universe, you'll know exactly what to expect. And the best part is about all of this is, once again, I said it before, I'm going to say it again, as completely outrageous as most of this album is, it's very easy to take in, especially on like your first couple of listens. The results in every way are a genuine blast and totally over the top, but that's personally how I like my metal. And then we have Perihelion, which just shows them diving into just a standard classic heavy metal sound. We get this big, huge, muscular riff that's probably one of the more straightforward here. And it's moments like this that just make me think, my God, I really wish I could have just sat in on a brainstorming session for some of the ideas going into this. Like, it's once again just so easy to take in, and I just can't help but raising my horns and screaming along with every word. And the vocal effects in the last minute and that lone harmonica are great little details. And hell, at the end of the day, is just the most fitting kind of finale that I really expected. The Giz here have not lost a single bit of steam. As a matter of fact, they sound like they're ready to rev up again. And of course, this album just ends up in hell. Like, why wouldn't it at this point? Like, to be honest, as a finale, all I can say is that this track is great for the same reason that a lot of the other tracks on here are great, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. So, at the end of the day, I'm loving this thing. This is not the cleanest produced. This is not the most well thought out. This is not the most genre pushing or well sculpted metal album that you're gonna hear this year. But where it lacks in those things, King Gizzard bring to the thrash metal table tons of personality, self-awareness, and some of the most over-the-top metal tracks I've heard in ages. I'm feeling a decent 8 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.